Hello, and welcome to Human Anatomy and Physiology 2. Today we will be starting our 5th unit, the lymphatic and immune systems. The objectives of this unit include identifying the primary organs and tissues of the lymphatic system, exploring the functions of the lymphatic system, tracing the flow of lymph from the body's tissues back to the heart, identifying the steps in an immune response, particularly in the roles played by each type of immune response, and understanding the difference between nonspecific defenses and adaptive immunity, including the difference between humoral and cellular immunity. The lymphatic system is a network of vessels throughout the body that works in parallel to the cardiovascular system. However, while the cardiovascular system works in distributing oxygenated blood and the nutrients throughout the body's tissues, the lymphatic vessels function as a cleanup crew. It is these vessels that return excess tissue fluid to venous circulation, as well as damaged cells, bits of tissue, and any microbes that might be present. This mixture is commonly referred to as lymph and flows through filters referred to as lymph nodes. These structures act as the major operational sites for the immune system. The immune system is a collection of cells that specifically targets foreign cells to prevent the spread of infections and even cancer, but does not have its own organs unlike the other organ systems. In this unit, you will be introduced to the lymphatic organs and tissues, lymphatic organ histology, and the components involved in immunity. In exercise 5-1, you will be looking at the organs and tissues that make up the lymphatic system. Water in the interstitial fluid enters small, blind-ended lymph capillaries that surround blood capillary beds. Once inside the lymph capillaries, the lymph is delivered to larger lymph-collecting vessels. These larger lymph-collecting vessels drain into larger lymph trunks. Note that there are 9 lymph trunks that drain particular regions of the body depending on its locations: jugular, subclavian, bronchomediastinal, intestinal, and lumbar. These lymph trunks then drain to lymph ducts, the final vessels of the lymphatic circuit. It is in this exercise you'll be further learning about the 3 primary functions of the lymphatic system. These are transporting excess interstitial fluid back to the heart, absorbing dietary fats, and activating the immune system. As you learn further about these primary functions, be sure to note the specific biological processes involved as well as the key organs involved in each process. Now, in exercise 5-2, you will be exploring the lymphatic organ histology by examining the microscopic anatomy of 4 different lymphatic organs and tissues: the spleen, a lymph node, a special type of MALT in the terminal portion of the small intestine called a Peyer's patch, and the palatine tonsil. As you observe these lymphatic organs and tissues in the microscope, pay special attention to the special characteristics for each of them. These characteristics make it easier to differentiate between what you are looking at. Note that figure 5.6 will also prove to be especially helpful in learning further about the microscopic anatomy of said organs and tissues, as they are beautifully captured images that are also labeled. You may be wondering, how does immunity tie in with the lymphatic system? We discussed it briefly at the very beginning of this video. However, in exercise 5-3, you'll be venturing into immunity even further. As you work through exercise 5-3, you'll learn further how the immune system can be divided into 3 lines of defense against tissue injury and the difference between different types of immunity: innate immunity, adaptive immunity, and acquired immunity. When a specific type of immunity is responding, there are certain physiological responses that correspond. For innate immunity, you'll see that it can be subdivided into inflammation and fever, granuloleukocytes and macrophages, and antimicrobial proteins. While in adaptive immunity, there are 2 branches: humoral immunity and cell-mediated immunity, in which helper T cells and cytotoxic T cells come into play. However, do you understand that any kind of cell damage or invading organism can potentially be met with all 3 types of immunity, or rather, lines of defense? This concept is further described in this exercise, where it explains what might happen if cancer cells were present within the body. At the end of this unit, like every unit prior, you should see review questions covering the material learned: the lymphatic organs and tissues, lymphatic organ histology, and the components involved in immunity. Be sure to fill these out thoroughly using the knowledge gained from your laboratory manual and experiences in the lab, as these questions are the perfect review to prepare for that practical. Thank you for joining me as we started to investigate the lymphatic and immune systems. Have fun as you continue to dive deeper, and I'll see you in the next unit.